What's up, everybody? My name's Zach, and if you've been following the channel for a while, you probably remember it. Last summer I was finally able to pick up a bigger dump truck and a trailer, so I wasn't stuck jamming my equipment in the back of my old dump truck to take it from job to job to job. It's had its bonuses. I have to admit, this truck handles the weight way better. I can haul both machines on the trailer at one time, which is amazing, and it's just a lot easier to chain stuff down on a trailer than up in a truck bed. Haven't completely abandoned the idea of putting equipment in the back of this truck bed. I made a video about that previously. It's just not a priority, so I haven't gotten around to it. But this truck bed does have an issue that needs to be corrected. It's been getting kind of bad, and we gotta fix it. So that's what we're gonna be doing in today's video. This dump body has some really cool features, things I actually didn't think I would need when I was picking it out, but they've come out to be really handy. On this particular truck, the sides fold down. Now, because this bed is 12 feet long, the sides are heavy. They're about as much as you really want to pick up and down, but it's really helpful for loading pallets, extra buckets, whatever you want in here with the skid steer or the excavator. And so I'm really thankful for it. I wanted to really keep this bed because I found that to be really handy. The consequence of having fold down sides is there's not a lot of structure to the headboard or the tailgate. Both things are just a single post. You know, it's just this post that holds the tailgate, and then the headboard is also just it's just this. There's not any bracing. There's, you know, the side doesn't attach to it like on a standard truck, and you know, so the side can't support the headboard. So consequently, over time, this headboard, as this truck bobs down the road, has been shaken like this. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but over a long time, the fatigue has caused some cracks. I don't know why they show up on camera, but right in here, there's a nasty crack right there, and it's been there for a while. It's well rusted and corroded, and the crack continues all the way up into here. Don't think the sunlight's gonna let you see that well, but this tiny little brace that's here is cracked right up in here. Same thing's going on the other side, and so now this headboard is really wobbly. It's not bad enough to hit the cab, but as you can see, it's bad enough to need repaired. This thing is sitting here going bam, 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 back and forth as we go down the road every time. And eventually I'm afraid it's gonna just break all the way off completely and then be a real problem. We got some nice working weather today, so let's get on this, get this thing welded up and get it set and ready for the season. I'm gonna pull this thing up closer to the shop because my welder leads only go so far. Gotta be careful driving with that side down. We can't get going too fast because it does just about sit against the tires. Now that we're in the shade here, maybe you can see a little bit better. This crack comes down around through here. There is no crack in this area, but then the crack that comes around the side starts right up in here, comes all the way down, and then it's actually cracked on the bottom too, so you can see right there. So the plan here is to get this crack all welded up. This structure obviously was insufficient for stabilizing this big old headboard here. So we're gonna add a little structure to it and put some sort of a brace in here. Unfortunate reality is that that brace will probably be a pocket for dirt and gravel to get caught in, but it'll be worth it because then we won't have the dump body falling apart. And that's kind of important. First things first, let's get this crack all cleaned up with the grinder. That way we can get to welding and have a nice, strong, clean weld. After a few short minutes with the angle grinder and a few more minutes with the die grinder with the absolute wrong bit on it, we're able to get these cracks cleaned up probably good enough to weld them, I'm hoping. This crack up here went a lot farther than I thought. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it goes all the way up into this area here. I'm no repair or welding expert, but I have heard before that you're supposed to drill a hole at the end of a crack to help spread out the force that the crack is applying on the material, and that'll help reduce the chances of the crack either continuing or coming back in the future. So let's drill some holes. No, better get some oil on that. Somebody will complain if I don't. I actually shouldn't complain about people complaining. I learn a lot from you guys in the comments, so appreciate the tips. I managed to bend this drill bit already. What's that about? What did we get caught on if we didn't get caught on poking through? Another crack up here that terminates. Poke a hole there. That's probably not the right way to finish a hole, but it worked. Now that we got all them holes drilled, it's time to break out the welder. This is where this project is gonna get interesting because my skills with the welder are probably amateur at best, which isn't a hit against myself, it's just where I'm at, you know? So all I have to weld this with is a stick welder, so we're gonna give it our best shot. Now, the main challenges for me in this situation are that, one, I'm stuck with the angles that I have to work with. Like I can't flip the truck over to make it so it's easier to weld. And then two, this is thinner metal than what I'm typically accustomed to working on. Doesn't mean it can't be done, just means I'm a little bit more out of my element. We're gonna start with the easy stuff and start up where it's horizontal. That was on fire there just a little bit because I didn't get the paint cleaned off far enough back from the welding area. Didn't affect the quality of the weld, just a little bit stinkier. As you can see here, that didn't go too poorly. Got our hole filled in and got the crack welded up to the edge there. Let's go ahead and work on this vertical portion here. If you're not familiar with welding, the part that makes vertical welding difficult is when you melt the metal with the rod, it wants to fall. It wants to drip out of the spot you're welding. So it's super important to get the speed that you're moving the rod across the area that you're welding just right. So that way it melts it just enough to bond, but not enough or so much that it will fall out of where you're welding. So as you can see, I did have a hole where it ran out on me there, and there's a couple of drips down in here that aren't great. The important first part though is to get that gap closed up so that way I'm not dealing with two edges. That way the heat will dissipate faster and help it not want to fall out of the crack. At least that's my understanding. So I'm gonna go ahead and fiddle with that and see if we can improve that. For you guys, it'll be real quick. Alrighty, with a fresh rod and a little lower amperage setting on the welder, I was able to make it look a little better. I don't know how much stronger it is, but hopefully it's good enough. There's a couple small holes over here. I'm really just trying to make this better. It's definitely better than it was. It may not be as good as factory, but we're gonna add that brace in here, like I said earlier. So it just gotta be good enough. And I think I've obtained good enough there. Now on to the next thing, we got our cracks up in here. Well, part of the problem with the lower setting on the welder is it's a little bit harder to get things started. Got an old school welder that I'm working with. It doesn't exactly have a hot start function, which I think is where they bump the amperage up just to get you started, and then they bump it down to keep welding. All right, now it's time to work on these welds up here. Oh, that's nasty. Tell you what, this project's got me about at the point where I'm gonna go out and buy a new welder, but I hate when people blame their lack of skills on poor equipment. Even if you have poor equipment, you should be able to do something. And it's not like I got poor equipment, I just got old equipment. So I'm gonna keep trying. It also probably doesn't help that I'm working with some old 7018 that's been open for a while. I know that stuff draws moisture pretty bad. Still not an excuse. We're gonna make it happen. Well, folks, those welds are good enough. They're nothing pretty. They're better than they were. My main goal was just that way you couldn't see light through them. So I think we've done that at least. But let's see if this has helped this thing at any. I'm sure it's helped even a little bit. Oh yeah. It still wiggles. I mean, I'm sure that side needs to be stiffened up and that'll help even more. But this has helped a lot already. The last thing I gotta do here is weld this crack up underneath. I've welded upside down like maybe once before and it was terrible. And I'm sure this one will be too, but it would be better than not welding it. So I'm gonna give that a crack. Half of the battle here is just not letting hot stuff fall on you or get stuck after it falls on you. Honestly, it might be better than I was expecting. Let's knock the slag off and find out. Oh, no, it looks terrible. It's so bad, I don't even want to show you guys. Just know you can't see daylight through it. That's what's important. Now that we've got this good enough to hide with paint, let's go into the shop here and see what we're gonna make our brace out of. I stole this piece of steel off of a demolition job. We were tearing down a garage and this thing was a part of the garage door header. I don't know what it is. It's probably just mild steel. It's 3/8 of an inch thick and probably almost a foot tall. I bet it was between two 2x12, so it's probably like 11 inches or something like that tall. So I'm gonna cut some triangles out of it and we'll use each one of those for the brace on each side of the truck. Now, I'd like to make more than just triangles. I want them to be a little bit bigger than that. So what we'll do is we'll have to make a triangle by cutting this off first at 45. This will be a scrap, which I'm sure I'll use for something else. Then we'll come down here farther and make another 45 this way, and that'll give us a whole like strut that'll fit into the corner, and it should work out pretty good. This would be way too much to cut with a grinder. I'd be here all night, so we'll be using the trusty circular saw that cuts steel. If you've seen my other videos, you've heard me rant about this thing. I love it. It's perfect for stuff like this. I'm thinking we'll keep this interesting and just probably do it without a proper straight edge or measuring tool. Shouldn't be that hard. Just gonna mark our length here, our width, then we'll come down and make that mark on the steel. That'll give us a nice 45-degree angle from here to there. Naturally, the marker ain't quite good enough. Might have to resort to a Sharpie for the next mark. Oh, yeah, that's right, this isn't cordless. Gotta plug it in. They do make a cordless version of this. I just bought the corded version. And looky there, nice clean cut, straight as an arrow. Camera lens kind of makes it look curved, but it is straight, I promise. Now, I guess I lied, I do need to use measuring tape here. I wanna make sure this lines up with the supports underneath the bed of the truck. There's channel iron that runs across the bed. I want to make sure we're tying this into the floor of the bed where there's a support under it, and we're not depending on the sheet metal very much to hold everything together. I mean, the whole thing's made out of sheet metal, but still trying to make it as structural as possible. So from the corner in this direction, if this cardboard represents the headboard and the tape measure represents the floor, the first piece underneath the floor that we want to attach to is at 5 inches, and the last one is at 15. So that means we can actually get all the way up into there and make this a point. I was thinking we'd have to have a gap before we make our next angle, but we can go right to the point, and that'll be a big enough piece to catch both of the structural elements under the bed that I want to catch. So let's see, maybe we'll still make a little bit of a gap. Yeah, we'll probably do something just like that. That'll do it just fine. Let's see if a standard Sharpie gives us any better of an experience this time. Hit! That trick doesn't work now. We don't have a right angle on the end of things. Whoops. Alrighty, I'll resort to angle measuring tools. So I guess my big bluff about not using measuring tools was exactly that, a bluff. Alright, let's make that cut. Stop a little short so we can avoid dropping it. We'll just break that off nice and easy. Alrighty, I'm gonna cut another one out so we got one for each side, and then we'll go about sticking this one on. Alright, that's about how this piece is gonna look. I got a bunch of cleaning up to do to get ready to do the welds. And I also need to kind of get things lined up and make sure that I don't put this like tucked too far this way or something and interfere with the side when it's folded up. Well, it's gotten dark on me here rather quickly, but we've got the shop lights shining bright out the door, and so that's going to be enough for what we need here. Got everything all shined up, got a clamp on there. Next thing I need to do is flip this side up and make sure it's in the right spot there and this isn't too far out or something like that. I really don't trust anything here to be square after it's been flopping around for forever, and it's just always best to check, you know, before you weld something solid. Uh-oh. Why isn't that going into where it's supposed to go? That could be a problem. Oh, the side just isn't folding up all the way. Obviously, that would be the problem. That's logical in this scenario. Let's hop up there and see what's going on. Well, as it turns out, I'm just dumb, and the clamp is what's keeping it from shutting. So, there's that. Nice. I just ran out of hands here. I think that'll work. I just gotta find a way to hold it there for a second. Well, folks, I think I got it where I want it here. I was fumbling around in the dark on the back side, but I think I got it where it's supposed to be. The unfortunate reality is that I've got bright shop lights on one side and no lights on the other, and so between that and my high quality Harbor Freight auto darkening helmet, I can't really see well enough to make a good weld back there to even get started. So I think we're gonna call it quits for this project tonight. I'll see you in the morning. It's gonna be really quick. Bam. I can't snap. I can't snap with my left hand. It's gonna be really quick. Well, folks, it's the next day. Let's pick up where we left off. Let's get this thing buzzed in here. Alrighty, let's check now that I've got that tacked in there. Let's see if this bedside hits it when I flip it up. Up we go. Oh, oh, what now? There we go. That fits. Oh yeah, look at that. That is perfect. That'll work out just fine. Well, folks, it's on there. I'd have to say I'm not proud of these welds. They're definitely not the prettiest ones I've ever made, but they're good enough. It's not a piece of jewelry, it's a working machine. This one here is standing a little proud of this surface, so I want to grind that down just to make sure we can get the door up there and shut just fine. And then we'll flip this thing around and do the same thing on the other side. Except I'm just realizing that ladder's in the way, and we're gonna have to cut that off and move it. Well, that's a bummer. That's okay, I kind of don't like it there anyway. Ow. There we go. Nice. As handy as this little ladder is, it's got to go. I almost never drop the passenger side anyway because we're always trying to get to this thing when it's parked on the road. And the driver's side just always seems to be more handier to access with the machine. So maybe I'll save this and put it on the other side someday, but probably not because it always gets stuff caught on it. It's just in the way all the time. I thought about trying to hack this thing off with a grinder, but I figured it might be more fun to use this big bad boy. Oops, I was pushing it too hard, I guess. There we go. That was way faster. I knocked the sharp edges off of those ridges with the angle grinder real quick. Look at the stuff that the big saw threw on the ground there. That's pretty cool. I also went ahead and cleaned up the cracks on this side. They're not nearly as intense. So I'm just gonna weld these bad boys up real fast here. Woo, buddy, it's getting dark on me again. Here we've got some flawless welds from Zach Riggs. You know, those are perfect, just to believe that. I got this thing tacked in here and mocked up and just checked it, make sure it cleared the side when we put it up. So I'm gonna sizzle this thing all the way in. Then we'll get up on here, give this thing a shake and see if we at least improved it a little bit. Well, I got this piece all welded in, so now we get to shake this and see how it compares to our first shake on it. Oh yeah, that thing is solid. That's awesome, that is such a relief. You can see up here how this thing was moving around so much that it was hitting the stack guard, and it was actually hitting the stack up here too. And now it is rock solid. That thing isn't going anywhere. As long as I don't mess it up by smacking it with a machine or something like that, I think this thing will last me for quite a bit longer now. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this little adventure and welding this truck up. I really appreciate you guys watching the whole way through. If you could do me a favor and hit that like button, it helps the videos a lot and helps the channel a lot. And when the channel does well, it makes it easier for me to make these videos for you guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you on the next one.